Hi, it's Teresa with Crafty with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video is a bit longer, but today we're actually going to be taking a look at some Stampin' Up! Products that I'm super excited about. I need to put the credit out there where credit's due. Shauna Maxwell. I saw her, she's an independent demonstrator, just like myself. And I saw her do this in a Facebook Live video, and I'll link that inside here. And I just fell in love with it. So, because of her, I had to get this set. And so here is the set. It's called Layers of Beauty. All the information will be in the description box as far as ordering this is concerned, as well as ordering it from me. This set does come with stamps, stencils, and die cuts. However, I'll only be using the stamp and stencils here today. Now, I really wanted to try the new in colors, so I grabbed some blank Stampin' Spots. With them, I also got the ink refills. Now, I will not show it here today, but stay tuned because I will put out a short video on how I added that ink to the blank Stampin' Spots. And then these are the ones that I used: Peach Pie, Petunia Pop, Shy Shamrock, and oops, this one's upside down, and it is Basic Gray. So I'll show you the card that I've done, but I'm going to be doing another one today because I need to do one in reds, and I do have some reds, because I'm actually going to do that for a challenge that I'm working on, which is on page 22 of the catalog. And it is, let me grab that. So page 22 of the catalog shows you different card sketch and design ideas, and I'm working on this first one, and I'm going to be doing that in the reds colors. I believe I'm going to be using real red. I'm going to look again to make sure as we go along, but that's the card that I'm going to be making here today. But I will show you the card that came up with these, because this card turned out beautiful also. So I'm going to go ahead and clear my desk and get started again so that you can see all of the new supplies that I'm going to be using. Most of these are Stampin' Up! There are some that are from my stash from Close to My Heart, but most of these are Stampin' Up!, so I'm pretty excited to be able to do that today. So I'll be right back as soon as I get this set up for the new card that I'll be making. Oh, and while I'm setting this up, I'm going to give you that sneak peek of the card that I was able to get done. So one of the things I wanted to show you today is a couple of suggestions or ideas or ways that you can actually do this stenciling. The stenciling is here, that came with the set, as I mentioned, and they're actually numbered up at the top, which I think is wonderful. So you can, if you can see that, it says 1. See if I can make that work for you. 2, 3, and these are all of the flowers, and then there's 4 and 5 here. The reason why I'm bringing that to your attention is because you are welcome to use any type of tool or method to color these flowers. If you have Stampin' Blends, Stampin' Writes, colored pencils, all of those things will work. Today I'm trying to use the ink pads that I have, which are, by the way, quite old, but they're still good. That just shows you the quality of the materials. And I have a ink Stampin' Spot just in case I need it, because these are quite old, and I've got a Stampin' Spot for both of these, and I'll grab those and have those on hand. But you can also use these two different types of tools on top of the other ones I mentioned. I think all of them turned out great. That first card that I just showed you was actually done, all of them were done with the daubers, the small daubers. And then I'm going to do some of this, the red, with this tool so that you can see the difference. But it really is great no matter which way you do it. So we're going to try this together. So what I've done is I actually, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I use quite often. Of course I can't find it. Here it is. So when I have to do a lot of stenciling, I've done a couple videos on this. I've actually created a cardboard container to do mass producing of these. But you can also, here's one of the other tricks that I've created in my videos in the past. I just grab a photo album, and these are the inserts on the inside of a photo album. I don't have a sticky sheet. If I had one, I'd obviously use that. But this is what I have, and I have my photo album because I use to store all of my sentiments. Had a brain freeze for a second. All of my sentiments, so that when I need a quick sentiment to throw on a card, a lot of times I'll do the panels and then I'll come back and I'll add a sentiment later depending on what I need it for. And so in that photo album, and I'll link that video in here also, but in that photo album are all of my sentiments ready to go. All I have to do is, you know, cut them up, if you will. And so I have a ton of these because the album has 100 of these. So what I do is I take this and I stick it down, and when I'm doing my stenciling, all I have to do is add this to the top, and this stays very nicely. You don't have to tape it or anything like that. Now these will obviously get old, but I have so many, and they're two-sided. So once this side is old, and it stops sticking like I want it to, then I'll flip it to the other side, and then I'll grab another one. I have not looked into how to order extras of these, but I'm sure you can. I got mine from Amazon. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ink this up with this basic gray and get that done first so that I have some kind of lines to work with. You don't have to, but I really like this basic gray because it actually looks like it's a watercolor look. That way it's a little bit more forgiving. Okay? So we'll do that first. This is where I wish I had a larger stamp pad for this, but you know what? We're going to make it work. Hopefully this is in the screen so you can see. Just in case, I'm going to go over this a little bit more. Again, the one thing about this light color like this is it will actually look more of a watercolor look. If I don't like it, I'll switch it over to my black Memento ink. But for this example, this is what we're going to do. And I'll be cutting this down so it won't matter exactly where I get it as long as I get it on here. Now, one thing that I saw the other demonstrators do, I use this tool. It's called Stampin Up. I'm not sure exactly where I got it, but I think I got it as a free gift actually from scrapbook.com. But to give that a little bit more pressure, I use this a lot if I'm using a stamping tool, but it works here just as well. This is a great big block, so it should not move on me as far as rocking. So we're going to do this. Oops, let me get that out of the way. And then I always do this with my grandkids when we're doing stamping. I always do ABC 1, 2, 3 to make sure that that has secured onto that paper, and then you lift straight up. And look, turned out great. Perfect. And if I don't like it, I can just flip it over and do it again. But I like it. To line this up, this was again from watching someone else do this. This is brand new to me. So what they suggested, and it worked out great when I did my other one, is using the flower at the top as your guide. And that's what I'm going to do. Now you could just mark this up here, but since I reuse this, I'm not going to do that. So add that as your guide. Again, you're giving yourself some forgiveness because you're using this as a watercolor look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my ink pad to see if it works. I haven't used it in so long, I have no idea if it works or not. So I'm going to see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then I'll grab my Stampin' Spot. But we're going to try this first. The first layer is going to be light. You want to get darker as you go. Oh, it's still got some ink on it. Good deal. We'll see how this works. That's a little bit darker than I expected, but that's okay. So what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm actually making this card for the challenge, but the scrapbook page that I'm working on is actually for my granddaughter who was in a competition. I'll be using this stenciling set for that. Won't do that in the video today, but I'll be using this design because she was actually in a vocal competition where the entire outfit is red, so it's perfect. So I'll be using that. Now, what I wanted to do is show you the two different ways to do this. All of this red will be done with this tool. And this is not open, so give me 1 second to open it. Brand new, straight out of the gate, right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to show you the difference here. And I'm trying to only open one side. We'll see how this works. This one I can go a little bit darker. I am going to go off a little bit here. Look at that difference. Oh wow, okay. So we will, that looks actually more pink. Now we're going to go with this next color, this next stencil. And again, I'm trying to line up here. And again, if I don't get it just right, it's not a problem because we can always come back. But I think this is going to work just fine. I'm going off here. Ooh, I like it. I didn't think to pounce on that first one, so I may have to go back on that one. The other tool that I could bring out here today, which I did use on my other one as I was experimenting, is I could bring out the stamping blend tool. I could do that also. This one's a little bit harder for me to see from this direction. Hopefully this is coming out okay for you. And this is the one we want dark. So we're not going to stamp off too much on this one. Now I did learn something working with this that first example is I didn't get quite enough variation, so I ended up having to go back in with that Stampin' blend on that first one. But this one I want full strength. I like it. I think it looks amazing. Okay. The greens, I'm going to take just a quick break, go throw these into, I have a Ziploc container, I guess is the best word for it, and I'll throw these in here in some water so that that is not going to permanently be on my stencil. But I'll be right back. I'm going to gather the greens. So I wanted to show you that off screen, I went ahead and took my blender pen and I grabbed this Stampin' Spot, and I went ahead and colored in a little bit of the spots that I thought needed a little bit of help. I probably could color a little bit more than this. Again, this is a watercolor look, so it's not a big deal. I could go back in and color that, but I did see a few areas that I thought might need some help. So I did that off screen. And then the other thing that I also did is if I saw an area that looked light, I took this and I really did it like off to the side, and I kind of like I still need a little spot there. So you can go in and modify these things even though it's in that basic gray with this black color. You just have to do it very, very light. And I wanted to show you that I did go ahead and do that off screen, but I also wanted to show you this. If you're doing mass producing, which with this design I would suggest you would have an opportunity to do so many. You could do it in card sets, you could do it in anniversary sets. This would be a great Mother's Day, any type of Valentine's Day card, and really any design. Florals are just so versatile. So I wanted to show you, if you're going to mass produce this, an idea or suggestion that I have is, this is the one, probably have this upside down for you. This is the one that we worked on just a little bit ago. Okay, remember this is two-sided. I took off screen, I took this and I went ahead and did the greens. Now while these greens are drying, which they are dry now, I can flip this back over. Now I can work on the greens here. While the greens are drying, I can work on this, and I've got two cards at one time, and it's just much, much faster for me that way. So I went ahead and did the greens here, so now all I have to do is do that. But I was showing you this, so this is the one that I'm going to continue to work on to show you the rest of this one that we started with. So we'll do it that way. The other one I'll probably just finish off screen so that we can make the cards for you. So, again, a testament to their stamp pads. This stamp pad is very, very old, but it's still good. And so I will go ahead and use this stamp pad. I'm terrible with inky fingers, so I'm going to try really hard not to make a mess with this. So I will go ahead and I'll set up number 4 where it needs to go. I may have to line this up and pull it back in for you because these are really, really small. So let me do that real quick. Line it up. And I'll show you exactly what I did so you can understand a little bit of how I matched this up. Obviously you could make yourself, let me show you something else you could do. You could do this. So this is now lined up. Hopefully it didn't move. Okay, now it's lined up. So you could tape this down with painter's tape. You could use washi tape. Or the other thing you could do to line it up, that's just to hold it down. But to line it up, if you just really have a hard time with lining it up, and like I had to do, pull it off the screen, you could put this right here at the tip where you're going to always put your stencil, if that makes sense. That's what I would suggest if you have trouble lining it up, but I can see it pretty well now that I have a little bit better lighting in here. So I'll leave those since we're going to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I am super excited about this design because it turned out really, really good. Now again, this first one we're going to do a little bit lighter. It is these always come out a little bit darker, but that red is so rich. I think it looks great. And I don't even go back to the pad. I just take it off of here. I just do swirls. I have no idea if there's a right or wrong way to do this. I just think get the color on, because it's super, super fun. I love stencils. Of course, I just love playing in my craft room. I go back and I listen to my videos sometimes and I'm like, gosh, I say I love a lot. I think the whole real thing I love to do here is just play. Okay, so that one's done. We'll pull that one off. Let's see if I can go this way. It's hard to do on the video. There we go. I feel like I'm going to mess it up if I don't do it a little differently in the video. So here you go. Now let's do the next one. See how beautiful that's turning out? Let's see here. Again, I'm going to line it up in front of me real quick. Now, hindsight, I wish I would have left that piece on the top so I could show you that relining it up, but we're just going to move on so we can get these cards finished for you. Okay, these are ready to go. This is ready to go. This one we want full strength because remember we want this one to stand out more. So I may re-ink a couple times on this one so that you can see the full strength here. On the larger pieces, I definitely want to do those. Like that could be darker. And sometimes I do pounce instead of, because if you don't pounce and you swirl with these, it does make a difference on how long these daubers last. But daubers are fairly inexpensive, just so you know. Okay, ready? This is the voila factor here. I'll just use I have my spatula, but I don't know why I'm not making that work. There it goes. I should have pressed down. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and you can see how this turned out. Didn't that turn out beautiful? I love it. I just love it. So, I'm going to clean this mess up and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Now to put this first card together, obviously we're ready to go. Now, what we need to figure out is what type of backgrounds do we want? If you remember the design, it was two different panels, and then there was a sentiment across the bottom, and the design itself had a bow. I'm going to change that up a little bit because I have these wonderful basic gray and smoky slate pearls. So I definitely want to use those. So obviously this is out. I guess I could possibly use it, but I think I'm going to go with this color. I think I'm going to have this as my base, which is unusual for me to do this. So stepping outside my comfort zone a little bit. This is some pattern paper that I have from way back. But on the inside is regular cardstock. So I thought this will be great. I'll just make this into my card base. Use these two as my panels. I'll probably maybe bring in another color here. And then I'll put this, and then I'll decide. I think this would be a great anniversary card with the silver, but I also think it would be a great You Make Me Smile. I think it would be a great with love, sending love. So I wanted to show you this. If you recall, I mentioned a few minutes ago this binder So before I move away from this too much, in this binder obviously I've been using them quite a bit, but this is where I put my sentiments. When I get a new stamp set, I stamp them up. I actually have some that have not been filed yet, but this is where I put them. See, it's great. You have two sides. With love, I think that would be good. I think sending love would be good. You make me smile, this could work too. I think thinking of you would be great with a black background in there. So we're just going to play a little bit and see what we come up with. I know this one I'm going to stick with the silver and the red because I want most of this design showing. So I definitely want that to be my focal point. The other one, I may move it to a sympathy card, possibly. So let's get started. So the one thing since I have made my decision, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move all of this stuff out of my way. I'll need a panel for the inside here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it. Because this is a thicker cardstock, I'm going to fold it twice. And I'm going to burnish it twice. If you don't have a bone folder, if you're brand new to card making, actually if you're just brand new to crafting, I use my bone folder for more than just cards. Anytime I need a good crease, I use my bone folder. And I do it this way. Now I'm going to bring it back this way. And now I have my card base. Now if you've been watching my videos, you know that I sometimes change my mind, which I did here today. I had this holographic silver that I thought it's already cut to the size that I think would work great. So instead of cutting the other card stock that was the glitter paper, I'm going to hold on to that. I actually thought about putting a frame on the inside and putting it over the top of this, but I thought maybe that would be too much. So and then the other thing that I did is I grabbed the happy anniversary, so I'm going to make this an anniversary card. I'm actually going to make it a part of a card kit, I believe. Now because I want to preserve that flower, I'm going to do a little angle cut here. Nothing spectacular. I'm just going to try to angle this to the point that I can utilize that flower. And I think it'll look good on here. I'm just guessing at this. I'll cut some of this down. See? Now I can utilize that rose, fussy cut it out, and reuse. Let's see how that looks before we go any further. Okay, so I went ahead and put an insert here so that we're ready to put that on the inside of the card. Here's the design that we cut up a few minutes ago. I've changed my mind and I've decided I think it would look really good to put this on the inside of the card with the sentiment and use this angle and put it on the outside. I think I like that idea, so I'm changing it up just a little bit. I think it turned out perfect. So on the inside, this is what we'll put on the inside. This pretty little design. Plenty of room to write, and then you've added this little design here. I'll probably take advantage of that little cut right there and stick that on the inside of there. Now, unfortunately, we have to cut this down. If you don't have a good set of long blade scissors, I would recommend that if you're going to be getting into card making, because they're great for a situation like this where you have to cut this down. Or you could use your trimmer. I'm just going to use my long blade scissors. Now for this part, I will use my trimmer. I'm not sure I trust myself for something like that. Pretty simple. You just set it up here and then you'll come at the angle there. So I just basically line this up straight. I'll do the same thing here. Line this up straight. Again, you could just cut that. So I like it. Let's see what it looks like put together. Now while I fidget a bit and put this together, I just wanted to say again, thank you again for joining me today. Here I'll show you another one of the finished cards today. I think it turned out beautiful. What do you think? Well, that's all for today. I hope you like what you've seen today. If so, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you could hit that notification button so you'll see new videos as they come in. Oh, and like and comment. It helps YouTube to notice me. Thank you again for joining me, and until next time, have a great day.